Welcome to the Geek Geezy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today is Friday. That means another edition of Frightful Fridays. And I will be reviewing the Slumber Massacre. It came out in, I think, 1980. It's rated R for, violence, nudity, swearing, and, worst of all, smoking. Alright. The gist of this movie is there's a slumber party massacre. So you have a high school girls basketball team doing their final practice for the year, or whatever. And there is a new girl on the team who is better than all the other girls, which isn't saying much. And so she is drawing the ire of a couple of the girls. You go into the locker room after the practice, and you have the obligatory shower scene in a horror movie, and nudity, in which the girls are discussing, hey, we're going to have this slumber party tonight. Maybe we should invite the new girl. Of course, the set of lockers here, set of lockers over here. The new girl is on the other side. She can hear this. A couple of the girls want her to go, but there's this one stuck-up little woman who's, says, no, she's here. And so when the other girls go to ask her if she wants to come, she refuses. And then you find out that there is also a guy who was a mass murderer who had at some point killed 5 girls in a massacre who had escaped from prison. That's an important part of the story, because that was on the radio. So the rest of the next little while, you're getting to kind of to know the girls. You have the party girls, all preparing to get for the slumber party and going over to the house. You have the new girl who is kind of the star of the movie, dealing with her parents. Well, earlier you had her parent dealing with her parents who are leaving for the weekend, leaving her and her sister alone, and there's a guy next door that's going to keep an eye on them. So you have all that set up, and then you're getting the party together, and a couple of guys who are trying to figure out how to get to that so they can get to the girls. At this point, you are introduced to the escaped murderer who somehow shows up on campus and hides in a van for someone working on telephone lines, disposes of that woman, and hides in the van. And I guess he decides, these are the girls that I want to kill. So he, from then on, you're going to, you've got the plot is divided between the girls at the party, the two sisters at the house across the street. These girls happen to conveniently live right across the street from each other, and the 2 boys who are sitting outside the window watching the girls change, speaking in normal tones and not being heard by the girls inside who are drinking and smoking pot. So you've already got a couple of killings, and then this guy just decides to sneak in and start killing the girls for whatever reasons that were in the plot, where they decided not to tell us why he was doing that. The basic plot of any horror movie like this. It wasn't really executed all that well. I mean, the girls were not all that, I don't want to say entertaining. You didn't like the high school girls that much, and of course that probably would be the point. But at least make them interesting. The girl and her sister had sort of an interesting relationship, and that was kind of interesting to watch. But what was going on in the house across the street was things were just rather convenient. Things would happen, and they'd conveniently ignore them, or they just, that's not, that's weird, and nobody seems to figure out that people are missing. And the weird part, the part is just, the acting wasn't great, the story wasn't very well thought out, and I'm not trying to make this like some big Oscar-winning movie. These things some of these things need to make sense, or sense inside the movie, and some of these people are just too dumb even for horror movies. And you could tell it was rather low budget, because when they did show the kills, a lot of them were just really quick or done off camera. It was just, like a real, the guy was using some super big power drill type thing, like the kind that it has the huge bits that drill through a door to, make a door that, peephole in your door, stuff like that, one of those things. And he was using that to kill people. But it would just, he'd do it, and he'd slash with it. And so they just get this little slash on there, and that'd kill him with this little, looks like diluted ketchup. It was the blood. So the special effects weren't even all that good. And it was only like an hour and 17 minutes long, and it seemed to take too long to reach the conclusion. Wasn't that good of a movie. I mean, it was kind of entertaining, but it was still just one of the ones you're like, do I really want to finish watching this? Yeah. The only good thing about it was, the eye candy, which there wasn't a super good amount of, but, the acting wasn't that great. It's the 80s, so it's got that 80s film look to it. I'm just going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 and say, if you're a fan of, slasher movies, early slasher movies, watch it. But if you have a chance to watch something that might be entertain you a little bit better, do that, because I think you might have a bit better of a time. So anyway, it's 2.5 out of 5. Watch it when you're homesick or you're trying to kill an hour and 20 minutes. Other than that, watch something else. But anyway, let me know what you thought if you watched it. Like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, try and enjoy your horror movies.